Welcome back at the forefront. There was a massive online proliferation of fake news about the supposed 3,400 peso new cash aid program of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. DSWD denies this and wants the public to vet all types of financial assistance programs, especially at this critical juncture. Why is there an effort to tarnish DSWD and its programs? How is the department making its real programs known to the public? With us this morning is DSWD Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao. Good morning, ASEC Irene.
Good morning, Attorney Karen.
Okay, so let's talk about this fake news. Bakit naman nagkaroon ng fake news that there's supposedly a 3,400 peso new cash aid program from the DSWD?
Attorney, as early as February of this year, the department has already issued an advisory wherein we denied na meron nga pong 3,400 pesos na financial assistance being provided to our clients or beneficiaries. In fact, we have also launched yung campaign ng DSWD, which is the Tamang Tulong sa Tamang Impormasyon. In this period na nagproliferate ang mga fake news, we want to combat disinformation and misinformation so as to guide our clients and beneficiaries on what are the programs of the department and how to access this. Of course, na-discredit kasi and of course na-undermine yung efforts of the government kapag mayroong mga gantong information that misleads our public. So napakahalaga that we inform them what are the programs and services that we are implementing, and it's important as well to teach them and educate them how to access this. It's very important to share na hindi po nagpo-post ang DSWD sa social media ng mga programs and links. So
could it be a scam? Na-trace niyo po ba kung saan nanggaling tong fake news?
Well, of course, we reported the information to Meta so as the post would be taken down. And then, ito kasi may mga links na ipino-provide. So when you click the link, merong mga information na hihingin from the clients or the prospective beneficiaries. That's why we continue to warn our clients or the general public not to click the links because it might pose danger and might put them or they might face certain risks and further exacerbate their vulnerabilities.
So it sounds like scam siya yung reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng fake news. Like when this post about the 3,400 cash assistance program was available in social media platforms, may kasama pong link.
There's a link that our public or the public is made to click, or there are information that are being requested.
So for the information of the public, pag may ayuda program ang DSWD, walang link dapat?
Exactly. And yung mga programs and services of the department, targeted yan. We make use of a targeting system. So we have identified who will be the recipients of our programs. And another thing, there's a vetting process that we do. Definitely, DSWD will not post social assistance on social media.
Nor provide a link where you have to provide information. Walang ganun
exactly.
dapat.
We don't request for your personal information. Most especially requesting this on social media. Kasi meron kaming forms na ginagamit. We have intake sheets for various programs and services that we are implementing.
Okay. ASEC Irene, for the record, ano po ba yung mga official programs of the DSWD?
Okay. Of course, like what the Secretary keeps on saying, no, DSWD has a first name and a last name. The first name is social welfare and the last name is development. Sa social welfare, dyan po pumapasok yung mga social assistance and the social safety nets that we are extending to our clients, such as assistance to individuals in crisis situation.
Ito yung AIX.
Ito yung AIX. Okay. AIX is a social safety net and a stopgap measure to support provide immediate support and temporary relief to individuals and families who are suffering or experiencing sudden crisis or emergency.
Can you give us examples? Ano po yung mga types of sudden crisis that would qualify?
Okay. Like a family or family member is suffering from a terminal illness or na-confine sa ospital, so kinakailangan po nila ng medical assistance. yung pagkakamatay ng isang family member, that's a family crisis. That's a shock that affects the family. So kinakailangan natin mag-provide din ng assistance such as burial, psychosocial first aid, and other interventions. Diyan po pumapasok yung ating AICS. We also have the Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program. This is another social assistance that...
This is the AKAP program.
Ito naman yung AKAP that provides social assistance, financial assistance to individuals who are suffering from rising inflation and are not earning more than the statutory minimum wage. Okay. We also have yung social pension for indigent senior citizens. This is the program naman for the poor and frail and sickly senior citizens who are not receiving any pension from the government or from private insurance companies and are not receiving regular support from
so
their
pang
family
senior
members.
citizens na po to dapat?
Yes, pang senior citizens naman to. Now we also have development. That's the last name of the department.
Later, we'll talk about development. So that would include yung mga job programs. Tama po ba?
Yung mga livelihood
Yes.
interventions natin, yung investment in human capital programs such as the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. And then yung Walang Gutom.
So let's start first for this conversation, yung mga cash programs. So you've mentioned AICS, AKAP, and then the seniors, parang pension type of assistance. And then the 4Ps, how is this different from the other cash assistance programs?
Okay, yung dun sa AICS and yung AKAP, as I've earlier mentioned, this provides temporary and immediate interventions to individuals and families who are undergoing or are suffering crisis or emergencies. And stopgap measure ito. Unlike yung dun sa 4Ps, which is an investment in human capital, particularly in education and health.
Kaya you also mentioned that under the development program.
Yes, because there are certain conditions that our beneficiaries need to comply with before they receive their conditional cash grants. So merong parang incentive for these families para makapag-aral yung, well, kinakailangan kasi mag-aral yung mga anak nila, mag-avail ng mga health services ng government. Because we believe that to break the intergenerational cycle of poverty, kinakailangan makapagtapos ng pag-aaral, maging healthy, maging malusog yung mga
And this
bata.
has proven to be successful in other countries as well. I mean, I was reading some literature pag yung mga conditional cash transfers, I think, which is similar to our 4Ps program. It has really helped break that cycle of intergenerational poverty. So pag sa atin po, ano po yung pangangailangan, bakit nagdagdag ng mga ibang ayuda programs?
The reason why we have social safety nets or yung mga stopgap measures such as the AICS and the AKAP is because we need to support or we need to help these individuals and families who are suffering from sudden life crisis so that they will not be trapped further to poverty. Di ba kapag ang isang individual or isang family ay nagkakasakit yung member or may namatay, na-exhaust yung kanilang mga resources. And we have to provide or extend support kasi talagang we have to help them recover from that life crisis.
For AKAP, there has to be proof, I suppose, that yung kapos ang kita mo talaga, meaning that you fall into that category na siguro below minimum wage or talagang kulang siya sa pagsustento. But how do you vet na, let's say, umakyat na yung kita ng tao na hindi na siya uulit sa AKAP program? Or how do you also guard against this mentality na hindi na lang ako maghahanap ng additional na trabaho kasi nakakakuha naman ako sa AKAP?
Okay. Actually, kapag ini-interview ng mga social workers natin, yung pong mga clients, we gather information like yung mga support services, external resources of the family, how many are the members of the family, sino yung nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral, sino yung nagtatrabaho. And then, you're correct, attorney, sabi mo nga we need to submit other evidences or documents to support yung claim natin that we are affected by inflation and that we are not earning more than the statutory minimum wage rate. So there are certifications being submitted. But all of these are being reviewed and assessed by our social workers. Ngayon, kapag nakita na you're eligible for this period, tinitingnan din kasi ano yung mga iba pang mga interventions that we could extend. Because naniniwala ang DSWD that we have to empower our clients so that eventually they'd be able to fish on for their own. Now, dyan pumapasok yung assessment ng mga social workers. Tinitignan yung mga skills, competencies, so that we know if we could refer you to other interventions such as the Sustainable Livelihood Program or other programs and services of the department. I'd like to reiterate that DSWD wants to empower our clients, particularly the poor, the vulnerable, and the marginalized. So to enable that, we have to support them with other interventions.
ASIC Irene, do you have an idea how much is allotted for all the ayuda programs? Kasama na yung AIX, AKAP, for the 2025 government, GAA, yung Appropriations Act natin?
Okay, for the ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program, we have more than 26 billion pesos for this year. And for the assistance to individuals in crisis situation, let me just check on the total amount that was allocated for us. But it's similar to our budget for 2024.
So for the 2026 General Appropriations Act, will you plan to retain that much funding or is it going to increase? Ano po yung plano ng gobyerno para dito?
Yeah, Attorney, actually, we're now in the process of preparing our work and our budget proposals for 2026.
Yeah, that's why I asked it
Yes.
kasi I know that this early pa lang, you have to start preparing your proposals for the 2026
Exactly,
GAA.
we're doing our internal budget hearings now. Some bureaus are conducting their work and financial planning. So most likely, the budget for this year would be the same budget that will be submitted for next year with some proposed increases, of course, considering the expansion also of the programs and the beneficiaries. But of course, this will be submitted to the Department of Budget and Management for review, and then eventually to the Congress for deliberation. And we will have to respect whatever deliberations or discussions that would be made during the process.
Can you give us an idea with respect to your experience dun sa 2025 budget? Magkano yung originally pinopose ng DSWD compared to what Congress allotted to the DSWD?
Well, for our assistance to individuals in crisis situation, we are very fortunate that our proposals, budget proposals, were favorably acted upon naman. Hindi naman po nabawasan yung
So kung ano yung hiningi nyo,
implementation
yung po yung
natin.
natanggap nyo? Hindi naman po siya, nag-increase po ba siya from the proposal?
Yes, actually nagkaroon po ng increase, and we're very grateful because that means na mas marami po yung nasa-serve natin ng mga clients.
But based on your implementation, ano yung mga nakita nyo po na probable gaps or flaws that could still be fixed or addressed? There were complaints na meron daw mga areas na one, umuulit lang yung mga beneficiaries, and some say that the list is, they don't have an idea how the list was prepared, yung kung parang meron daw favorable treatment for some beneficiaries based on yung kung sino nagde-distribute sa barangay. And then meron ding mga allegations na nakakaltasan naman yung natatanggap nila. So if they're supposed to receive, for example, 5,000 pesos, gagawing 3,000 na lang, pero wala daw, ayaw naman magreklamo because sasabihin sila na baka hindi na sila makaulit pagka hindi nila tinanggap yung ganong arrangement.
Well, Attorney, based on the guidelines of the department, meron tayong process na fina-follow for the identification of our beneficiaries. Gaya ng nabanggit ko, there's an assessment being done by our social workers. First, you as a client, you submit your supporting documents, you provide relevant information to our social workers, and vinivet po iyan ng aming pong mga personnel. And we also check on our system because we have a information management system wherein we keep a record of all the clients and beneficiaries that have been assisted, that were assisted by the department. Kasi sa guidelines namin, may frequency on availment. noong mga social assistance like the AICs and the AKAP. And then, again, pumapasok doon yung assessment of the social workers. So if you're eligible to receive the aid, that's the time that you will receive the assistance. Second, there is a built-in grievance mechanism of the programs that we are implementing. So kapag merong mga complaints, immediately respond or enact upon ng mga personnel po natin. Third, we have...
May nahauna ba kayong report po na nagreklamo na tinatry bawasan or kinakaltasan yung natatanggap nila?
Yes. Actually, this incident transpired last year na merong ngang buntis na nagreklamo on social media na nabawasan yung assistance that was provided to her. So ang ginawa po ng department, nagkaroon kami ng investigation together with other government agencies, and the department through our field office initiated the filing of complaint against the local officials who allegedly committed yung pagbabawas nga ng amount that was received by our client. Another thing, to bolster our efforts to really exercise and promote transparency in all government operations, doon sa Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program, in-include na rin doon sa revised guidelines yung posting po nung mga list of beneficiaries on the DSWD website. So ginagawa na rin po namin yan because we
So
really
there's
want...
transparency.
There's now
Pwedeng
transparency.
makita sino yung beneficiaries.
Yes, and apart from that, we have also worked with NEDA and the PSA and Department of Labor and Employment to make sure that we really identify the correct beneficiaries, and then there's a review of the implementation process.
You mentioned earlier, ASEC, that from the proposal that DSWD gave for the AICs fund, this was granted and further increased by Congress. Overall, the budget of DSWD, did you see an increase in the 2025 budget?
In some of the programs, yes, there were some increases. Some na-retain yung amounts. May na konting reduction din in some programs, but generally, favorable yung action on the DSWD proposal.
So magkano po yung total budget na nakuha ninyo?
For 2025, that's around, let me just check, yung ating General Appropriations Act. But I believe that's around 200 billion pesos. But let me just check
Yeah,
again.
it's okay. We just wanted to get an idea kasi kung pag-uusapan natin lahat ng social welfare programs ng government, how much is the government allotting to it? How does the DSWD respond to criticisms that the government is fostering overdependence through cash dole-outs? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the forefront. ASEC Irene, how does the DSWD respond to criticisms that the government is fostering overdependence with cash dole-out programs?
Foremost, Attorney, we recognize all criticisms and comments that are being thrown at the department. This serves as motivation, a striving force for us to review our current programs and services and to enhance and improve this. But like what we always tell our beneficiaries and the general public, the DSWD is not solely providing yung mga social assistance o yung mga ayuda. We have more assistance. As I've earlier mentioned, the DSWD has a last name. Yun yung development, wherein there are programs and services that aim to empower our beneficiaries by capacitating them and providing them the necessary assistance or interventions. Like what I've mentioned earlier, yung Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, we invest in human capital, particularly in education and health. There's also the Sustainable Livelihood Program na kung saan kinakapacitate din natin yung ating mga beneficiaries so that they would engage in livelihood activities, micro-enterprise development, or in employment facilitation. We assist them. We also have the Kalahi Seeds program, wherein we promote yung volunteerism and we adopt community-driven development approach. Na yung members of the community identify the projects that would be beneficial to them and they take part in the development process. So sa budgeting hanggang sa implementation, they're all part of the program. We also have the Walang Gutom program na kung saan we also provide intervention to address involuntary hunger and malnutrition.
Ito po yung kitchens nyo?
Iba pa yun. Iba pa yun.
Meron pa
Ito yung Walang Gutom naman, o the food stamp program, na kung saan we provide monetary-based assistance. No? Yung food credit worth 3,000 pesos na nailalagay na tatap doon sa EBT card o electronic benefit transfer card ng ating mga beneficiaries. Napakahalaga nito kasi hindi lang natin binibigyan ng solusyon yung kagutuman or malnutrition in the community, but also we help the beneficiaries to be gainfully employed. Kasi we conduct nutrition education sessions and then we let them participate doon sa mga skills development activities so that they be able to join sa mga jobs fairs and then be eventually employed. So sabi ko nga, there's more than ayuda or there's more than social assistance. Of course, these are very important kasi kinakailangan nga i-address yung mga immediate needs, especially kapag may mga sudden crisis in a individual's life or sa isang family. But more than that, there are other interventions that aim to support them para makagraduate sila from poverty.
Yeah. Well, since it sounds like yung DSWD's development programs is very effective in terms of providing long-term sustainability, meron po ba kayong mga studies on the effects of the ayuda programs, of how effective they are in really addressing immediate needs? Kung yung effect ba na gusto nyo na kakamit nyo yon? Because meron ding mga nakikita sa social media na post yung mga ibang beneficiaries ng ayuda that buy fast food at nagpapa-manicure, pedicure, tapos pinopost pa nila sa social media. So, yan ba yung intended consequence of ayuda?
Well, sa ating pong mga beneficiaries, no, nakikita natin na they're very grateful for the assistance that the DSWD is extending. Marami talaga ang nagsasabi na nakapag-provide ng immediate intervention and nakasupport doon sa kanilang recovery. Meron din namang mga studies, since you've mentioned, no, may mga studies po. No? In fact, doon sa Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, meron na po yung mga impact evaluation studies na ginawa. And currently, meron na bago na study na ginagawa yung ating partner, yung PIDS. Most of the studies that were released say that nag-gain ng traction yung mga programa na in-implement natin, particularly itong mga developmental programs that we are implementing. Ito yung mga evidences na nagsasabi na our programs are gaining traction and that we are on the right track. Doon naman sa mga ibang...
Nako-compare niyo po ba in terms of kung ilang mga families were taken out of poverty, out of the recipients?
Yes, that's correct. Kino-compare din namin. And meron din kasi kaming mga internal na mga studies yung ding ginagawa natin na administration ng social welfare and development indicators, wherein our social workers check on various indicators to determine if nag-improve yung level of well-being by measuring social adequacy and economic sufficiency ng pamilya. So nakikita natin na nag-i-improve talaga yung level of well-being. So meron po
kayong internal studies that prove na nag-i-improve po?
Yes. Each 4-piece beneficiary has a case folder.
Oo.
So nakikita
natin. So 4-piece
natin...
po ito. Pero pag yung mga ayuda na short-term, AIX, AKAP, meron na po ba kayong mga studies to support that it has indeed helped bring people out of poverty?
Actually, meron na rin po kami. And dito nga sa Ayuda para sa Kapusang Kita program, let me just mention, no, kasi ito yung mga bago doon sa guidelines. NEDA is now working with the department to evaluate the implementation of the program para makita natin how effective it is and how and measure how it was able to assist yung mga kababayan po natin who are suffering from the rising inflation.
And yung for the part of DSWD, how would you address criticisms that there's a risk of ayuda funds being used by politicians either to gain advantage, and then the other criticism is that it can be used for vote buying, since especially with the upcoming elections?
Well, of course, the department has instituted several safeguards to protect our programs and services and insulate it from any form of political interference. While we foster and cultivate our partnership with our partners, especially local officials on the ground, we continue to remind them that they shouldn't be present in our distribution or in our off-site payouts, and ginagawa naman po iyan na nasusunod naman po. And in fact, doon sa COMELEC memorandum that was released to the department, nakalagay na no officials or no COMELEC, no local officials should be present in the
Pero
off-site
nangyayari po
payouts.
ba yun? Because meron nang nakikita, in fact, meron mga videos of other politicians, lalo na nung hindi pa election period, hindi pa campaign period, na sumasama sila sa distribution. Paano nyo pong napipigilan nyo po ba talaga sila sa pagsama?
Yes, ini-explain po ng ating mga personnel on the ground na kung maaari, hindi na lang po sila pumunta
Paano
doon
po
sa
yung
mga payout.
medyo makapal na sumasama pa rin? Are you able to stop them from distributing?
Yes, actually, ini-explain talaga namin sa kanila na huwag na lang pong sumama. Because again, that's one of the measures or the actions that we have done to insulate yung programs and services po namin. And if I may add, sinusunod na, the DSWD is faithfully adhering to the instructions of the COMELEC. Kaya nga from May 2 to 12, wala na po kaming off-site distribution ng mga ayuda programs. Wala na po tayong mga ginagawa ng mga payout activities, except yung mga regular or normal distribution that we are doing within the department office premises.
After the elections, will DSWD remain to be firm on that rule na bawal sumama yung mga politicians sa distribution?
Yes, yan po ang commitment ng department to really safeguard our programs and services and make sure that this will not be used to advance the political interests of some.
Paano po yung mga posters? Kung dinalagay nila yung mga posters nila doon sa areas where the ayuda is distributed?
Actually, that's also one of the tasks given by COMELEC to the department na dapat walang mga campaign materials present in all payout activities that we are conducting.
Pag after elections, will they maintain that rule?
Yes.
Okay, sana no. The other thing is, yung criticism on the ayuda programs being part of the pork barrel, in what way ba nakakapag-determine yung mga congressmen as to how much to distribute sa district nila? Nagkakaroon po ba talaga ng allocation? Because we've interviewed some members of Congress before and they said that they get allotted a certain amount as AIX or as AKAP. So parang yung dating, the beneficiaries are based also on the ability of the members of Congress to get an allocation for their district. So parang nagkakaroon ng politics at play.
Well, Attorney Karen, as far as the department is concerned, we are in an implementing agency. So kung magkano po yung naalat na budget for the department as reflected, of course, in the General Appropriations Act, yun po yung ini-implement ng DSWD. Wala naman pong nakalagay doon sa GAA na may allocation whatsoever. We implement it as a whole. And that applies naman po. And the funds are distributed nationwide.
So compared to other like DPWH, hindi siya per district naka-allocate. So pag nakita mo sa General Appropriations Act, yung let's say AKAP, hindi siya nakalagay per district.
Tama
It's a
po.
whole chunk.
Yes.
Okay. And now let's talk about the assistance that the DSWD also provides for other incidents. Like, for example, we've had the eruption of Mount Bulusan. Ano po yung mga assistance that the DSWD provided?
Actually, doon po sa pagputok ni Mount Bulusan, immediately after the incident, Secretary Rex Gatchalian went to Sorsogon. In fact, prior to that, he has already coordinated with the provincial government and has assured yung pong resource augmentation. As of today, more than 30,000 family food packs were released to those affected. And the total assistance that was already provided or extended by the department, nagkakahalaga na po ng mahigit 22 million pesos. That of course is composed of family food packs and non-food items. Doon naman po sa Canlaon, we have extended more than 150 million pesos worth of humanitarian assistance. Again, yan ay binubuo ng mga food packs, non-food items, and the financial assistance that we have extended to those who have been affected. And the DSWD remains committed to provide augmentation support to local government units who are affected by these incidents. Dahil isa rin po ito dun sa mandato ng department as Vice Chair of the Response Cluster ng NDRIMC and as an active member also of the protection of the internally displaced persons and the camp coordination and camp management.
And we also saw Secretary Rex Gatchalian visiting sa week po nung isa dun sa yung nasa week po sa NAIA Terminal 1 incident last Sunday. He was a young man that was supposed to go for work meetings in Dubai at yung pamilya niya I think umaasa rin sa support niya, no. So ano po yung tulong na naibigay for this victim of the NAIA Terminal 1 incident? And meron din po bang iaabot na tulong ang DSWD for the OFW si Denmark naman na nawalan po ng anak?
Yes, the Secretary has visited, he personally visited the wake of those victims nung nga pong nangyaring insidente sa SCTEX and dun sa NAIA.
So pati sa SCTEX din po?
Yes, he went to Bulacan yesterday to personally extend his condolences doon sa mga pamilya and nagpaabot rin po siya ng tulong, burial assistance and financial assistance doon po sa mga pamilya. And apart from that, dahil ang AICS ay hindi lamang po limited sa medical or sa burial assistance, there are also referral services and psychosocial first aid, no, na interventions under that program. So DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian has also committed to refer yung pong naging biktima doon sa SCTEX accident na tulungan rin sila na mai-refer sa DOJ para mabigyan din naman ng hustisya yung nangyari sa kanila and other assistance doon sa pamilya.
And with the SCTEX accident, there was a 2-year-old that was orphaned because nawala yung parehong parents niya during the accident. As the minor, meron na po bang kumupkup dun sa bata? Is DSWD also monitoring what happened to that child?
Yes, actually, immediately after the incident, no, nakipag-coordinate din ang department doon po sa PDRMO who was the first individual or PDRMO, referring to the officer, na sila yung nauna doon sa incident. And we learned that the individual or the child was brought to the hospital and then doon na po siya sinundo nung kanilang relatives and inuwi na po sa kanila.
Okay. Meron po bang follow-up na gagawin ng DSWD on the condition of that 2-year-old?
Yes. Actually nga po, when the Secretary visited the family at the wake yesterday, he spoke with the family and then sabi ko nga, magkakaroon ng home visitation yung mga social workers so that we could also identify what are the other interventions that may be provided to family aside from the immediate assistance that was extended, yung pong burial assistance.
And we're less than a week away from the elections. So ngayon naman po pag-usapan natin the upcoming elections. What type of coordination is the DSWD doing with COMELEC? We heard that DSWD would be assisting dun sa early voting hours.
Of course, unang-una, sabi ko nga kanina, we are faithfully complying with the tasks and responsibilities given to us by COMELEC. So wala na pong mga distribution o mga off-site payout activities from May 2 to 12. And apart from that, yung pong mga ibang mga tasks na binigay sa atin na dapat magsabit tayo ng mga reports doon sa COMELEC, we're preparing all of that. And we have also worked with COMELEC, particularly yung attached agency natin, yung National Council for Disability Affairs, na kung saan binibigyan ng priority yung ating mga persons with disabilities.
So for Monday, May 12, sa voting, meron pong priority pagka persons with disabilities?
Yes, meron po. There's a specific hour for persons with disabilities.
What time po yan?
Well, I'll just check kung ano yung specific period, but yeah, there were some arrangements made between NCDA and COMELEC. And then apart from that, making sure na meron po tayong mga spaces for persons with disabilities and maging convenient din for persons with disabilities, yung ating mga voting precincts.
Siguro for the knowledge of those listening to us, yung mga boboto po sa Monday, what we saw in the website of the DSWD is that as early as 5 a.m., pwede na rin po bumoto ang senior citizens and persons with disabilities.
Yes, yung pong ating mga kababayan na kabilang sa vulnerable sector, of course, the government, under the leadership of President Marcos Jr., talagang tinitingnan po natin yung pong benefit, yung convenience ng particular sector na to. So, there were some arrangements made by the DSWD with COMELEC para po mas ma-facilitate yung pag-exercise nyo ng ating right to suffrage.
Sige. So magdala po sila na pwedeng 5 a.m.
Yes, come be at your respective voting precincts early, and you will be assisted by our voting precincts officials and personnel.
That's good to hear. Magdala po sila ng senior citizens ID or PWD ID.
Dalhin nyo po yung inyong pong mga kinaukulang mga identification cards.
Thank you so much, ASEC Irene Dumlao. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Attorney Karen, for having us this morning.
Thank you. Government assistance can offer vital relief, but it must be given with fairness and backed by facts. True support empowers lives, not just sustain people temporarily. For the OFW involved in Sunday's tragedy, Filipinos grieve with him, and all efforts must be made to make sure that this misfortune will never happen again. For the new financial assistance offered by the DSWD, there is a need to weed out government's mendicants for those who are working hard to uplift themselves. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for deeper insights on issues that matter to us as Filipinos. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.